Yes, we are. Welcome. It's 7 o'clock on Tuesday. Welcome. I'm Jacqui Lewis. I am the clinical nutritionist for BN Multi. And each week we meet here on the BN Multi page because during the week in the group, we've all put our questions in for things you want to know about life after bariatric surgery. And so Tuesday nights we meet and we chat about a certain topic. We talk about our monthly challenge, and then we answer all your questions that you've left in the BN Bariatric group during the week. And so join us every week, put it in your diary and make sure you don't miss out, because there's heaps of there's not just questions on the topic of the week, there's just random questions that people need answered as well. One sec. And so this week we're talking sleep, and without my virtual background, you'll see the comings and goings of various pets. So this week we're talking sleep, and we're also talking prizes, winners of the Transformation Tuesday, and we've also got a range of questions just from members of the group, which is always helpful because your questions are generally somebody else's questions. So never feel shy to leave. The opportunities are in the group all week. There's two specific posts that we put up asking about if you've got any questions, but it's great because people are just making their own post. And generally those questions, we will also glean them from the group and stick them into Tuesday night's list to answer in a bit more detail. So please keep reaching out, and also it just helps to support others as well. So this week, this is a good one, and I hear it come up quite a bit. It's about the kind of clashing between different vitamins, minerals, and also certain medications as well. So I've heard differing opinions about when to take various supplements or vitamins. That is, with or without food, not with calcium, not mixing iron and calcium, not with Somac, and not with coffee, which someone's giving you some good information because that's all spot on. Is there any wisdom in these rules, or can you just take them all at the same time whenever it works? The answer is no. Certain nutrients have share the same pathway for absorption. So it becomes a bit of a first in, best dressed scenario. So if you've got calcium and iron going in certain amounts, it's not just any calcium or any iron. I read a bit about it a while back, and if you are combining iron and calcium in our formulation in the BN multivitamins, you can see that we've got iron and calcium in the chewable tablet, which is okay because the calcium is below 500 milligrams. So when you've got iron going in and a dose of more than 500 milligrams of calcium at once, it's likely that calcium will win and your iron will be blocked from being absorbed. But lower levels of calcium mean that there's no competition because there's enough room for everybody. So you'll see that's also why there's a few reasons why, but that is one of the reasons why our chewable BN Cal is 200 milligrams of calcium citrate. So this is the difference between your random supplement off the shelf in the supermarket and your specific BN multi formulation, because we've worked it out. We've used the research. We've used the ASMBS weight loss surgery guidelines, where they did research into the best outcomes for weight loss surgery patients. And from that research on about 38,000 patients, they worked out daily recommended doses of all different nutrients. And within that, not only the different nutrients, but what form of the nutrients are the best for you after weight loss surgery. So, for example, we use 200 milligrams of calcium citrate in your BN Cal, because the evidence shows that the best outcomes for absorption come from smaller doses of calcium more regularly throughout the day for the best absorption. So that's kind of where we're going with why do you need a bariatric multivitamin? What's the difference? Why can't I just buy something at the supermarket and hope for the best? And these are the reasons why, is that you can trust that for the specific anatomical changes that your body's gone through, these our formulation has been designed to get past all those little new quirks that we have after we've made the change and had the surgery. So yes, you can't necessarily mix as much calcium and iron as you would love to all in one go. Never mix caffeine and iron, pointless, because caffeine will also win. So tea, coffee, chocolate, anything else that has caffeine in it, don't mix it with your iron. And the ideal is that if you're not mixing something, it means that it's about at least 2 hours apart. So also some drugs, you'll see they say don't mix this drug with, for instance, and this one you'll understand now when I tell you. This one is don't mix this drug with grapefruit juice. Have you ever heard that one? And that's because certain nutrients and food products will work on the liver in a certain way, and they ramp up the process of liver detoxification. So if you're taking, it's usually heart medication, if you're taking your heart meds and then you're drinking grapefruit juice, the liver goes woo and gets rid of it too quickly. So we call that it means that it has a shorter half-life in the body and it gets excreted too quickly, which is not very good when it's meant to be looking after your heart. So little things like that is the reason why we talk about these things. With the Somac, never mix Somac with calcium or iron, because Somac, as well as making a total mess of your gut, will block calcium and iron absorption all at the same time. So those sorts of things are why we do that. So things like thyroxine, a lot of people take that first thing in the morning. It's good to take that by itself because it does have quite a few interactions. Take it on its own unless you've got other medications that you've been told they are safe, and then take your supplements a couple of hours later. It's just a good one to give enough room to move. So that's kind of where we're going with caffeine, calcium, iron. Others are quite synergistic. So different things going in together will actually work better. So you've probably heard of iron and vitamin C being good for iron absorption. And I think it's something like 400% more iron gets absorbed. So within your BN multi-chew, there's iron and vitamin C, and that's probably helping the absorption there as well. So looking at that, I've actually, I think I do have a list of things that tell you basically the ins and outs. Zinc is another one. It's a you take that away from different nutrients as well. And is there a list or a site we can reference to compare the intake of vitamins and supplements? Yes, I can provide that for you. I'll find it. I've got it on file and I'll stick it in the group during the week. Thank you. This one, I don't have the name for it, sorry. Hi guys, I just had a sleeve in October. I've lost 10 kg pre-diet and another 30k since surgery. Now I've hit a plateau. So all of January and February, I kept fluctuating on the scales. I'm doing cardio and weights. I go to a PT. And at the start of January, I found I wasn't having enough protein. But I've been focusing on that now, and I have 70 to 80 grams, which is what my dietitian recommended. I'm trying different things to get out of this plateau, but I don't know what else to do. Any tips? Generally, if you've increased your exercise, it can be that you're not eating enough still. So maybe it's carbohydrate if you're feeling tired and feeling like you're not recovering as well as you could from your exercise. It could be that. Please, everyone, yes, use the scales because you know you're losing weight, but please don't rely on the scales for tracking your progress, because you just end up banging your head against the wall. It's terrible. And it can be a bit of a thing because we're all so programmed to wonder what we weigh, and we're all given a goal weight at the end of our surgery. But if you've gone from not exercising very much, having bariatric surgery, and now you're training all the time, and you're eating protein like you never were, you're going to be gaining muscle. So that's the problem. It's not a problem. It's actually a good problem to have, because the more muscle you have, the more energy you need. So if you've got muscle on your body, it's like revving up your car and putting a bigger motor in it. So just when you're sitting at the lights, idling, not going anywhere, you need more fuel just to sit at the lights. They're thirsty vehicles. They're like a V8 or something like that. So that's what you're in effect doing, is ramping up your energy output, even when you're sitting at your desk. So don't worry about your weight too much. Worry about how your clothes are fitting and take your measurements, and also find a way to track your body composition. So things like MPOD, the scanner things that they've got at different pop-ups in the shopping malls and stuff now, are helpful. Also, body composition scales, we've got those on the website at bnmulti.com. You can get them there. And they're a great guide, because they'll give you an idea of if muscle levels are changing and if your bones are doing anything, or you're dehydrated. It will tell you all of that. But the scales will just tell you bluff what's on it. They don't tell you what it's made out of. It's just like, yes, there's somebody on here. So for example, when I was at my fittest, I was 67 kilograms, and I'd get on the, scales, and it would tell me I was overweight. And I had abs. Don't have them anymore, but did have them then. And yeah, it's just not a good indication of what's on the scales. It's just what is on the scales. So that's my recommendation, is measure, find out what you're made out of, composition, and keep a pair of old pants and a top around so you can try them on and see how they're fitting. And chuck the scales in the bin, I think. But in fact, Glenn McIntosh, who runs weight management psychology, that's what he often will do, is probably giving away something here. He'll often do something with your scales. I won't tell you what it is, but yeah, I think it's a good thing to steer away from. Michelle's asking, I'm 6 months post VSG and I'm finding I can eat a lot more, approximately 1 full cup. Pretty standard. I know I shouldn't compare myself to others, but I feel like I can eat so much more. Also, how do you feel about snacking in between meals? So the first question is about, now I can eat a cup. It depends on what your dietitian's recommended. You do kind of work up towards a cup, quarter of a cup, half a cup, 1 cup, but it depends on where you're at. Just make sure, if you feel like you can eat more than you used to, that you are firstly sticking to bariatric portion control, because that's the guide. I always say, don't eat what you can, eat what you should. So dish up your meal always on a portion plate and bowl. You can find them on the website. And now we've got the little bariatric mat. It's just like a circular disc that you can stick on your plate anywhere you are and dish up a meal that's got the right portions in it for you. That can happen. Things can start to sneak up. And I always say, don't eat what you can, eat what you should. So if you've been told have half a cup of food 4 times a day, whatever your guidelines are, based on your current health and your situation, stick with that. Even if you can fit more in, try not to fill up. So the filling up or overfilling is what will give you that increased capacity over time. But also the key is making sure you eat your protein first. So 2 things can happen around later on down the track, is that carbs will sneak back in, and they don't fill you up like protein will. So if you're eating your carbs first and then having your meat, do it the other way around. There's varying reasons for that. One is that the protein goes in first and then will sit in your stomach for a bit longer. It almost then the protein goes in and then the carbs go in on the top of it, and it will stay there for a little bit longer. The other thing is that when you put protein in first, you will find the body goes, protein, I don't need so much insulin for this meal. So you're doing 2 things there. You're eating in a way that's going to fill you up for a little bit longer, but you're telling the pancreas to be quiet. because we don't want insulin. We need it for blood glucose regulation, but we don't want these big spikes in insulin because it makes fat loss really tricky. And when insulin is present, fat loss can't happen. So you want to be leveling out your glucose levels and making sure that happens. So yes, don't compare yourself to others, but make sure you're sticking to the guidelines is the main key there. And if you feel like you are fitting more in and that wasn't the recommendation, pop back and see your dietitian and just have a chat with them about, you know, what's going in. Maybe adding just some good fats, that sort of thing will keep you fuller and they will fill you up earlier. So you're not feeling like you're just putting in a whole cup full of food and it's not, doesn't feel satisfying. The second part of that question was, how do I feel about snacking in between meals? Well, I think if you can only fit half a cup to 1 cup of food in 3 times a day, it's just impossible to meet your needs with that. I don't mind snacking. I think if you spread it out as far as you can, ideally, because those short breaks between the meals also are good for your blood glucose levels, keeping them even. But it's what you snack on. So I don't say no to snacking, particularly when you've got such limited capacity, but you need to be prepared to be taking in, you know, nutritious snacks. Can you hear the storm? And nutritious snacks and high protein snacks. So everything you eat needs to have an element of protein in it. 50% of each meal should be protein, and then your snacks need to have kind of at least 10 grams, would be ideal, anywhere between 7 to 10, which is, you know, eat an egg and that will keep you full because it's got the protein and the good fats in it. And that's a great snack. So thank you, Michelle. That's a great question. And Denise is asking, did anyone experience a flare-up of glandular fever or something similar after weight loss surgery? Just wondering if my immunity is weakened and the virus has gone. Yippee! Yes. It was interesting, the feedback on this one. Some people said they agreed and others said they haven't been sick once since the surgery. So it shows you we're all very individual. What I was going to say about that is that yes, I mean, it's a big deal, this surgery that you have. Firstly, it's the body is working on recovery, shock, replumbing all of the system, also rejigging all the endocrine system, and then food is kind of scant on the ground. So it's looking at how you went into it, what your health was like, what your stress levels. Stress is the main player in immunity, what your stress levels were like and what you've been through. So if you've got, you know, you're calmly swimming along and then you have lovely weight loss surgery and then you sail out of that, I mean, you probably manage that quite well. But if you were like, God, I need some time off work and who's going to look after the kids, and or you have the surgery and you race back to work and you've got, you know, a family to care for and that sort of stuff, like we downplay the tax on our bodies and at the best of times, and then we throw in major surgery and massive restriction in our nutrition, as well as malabsorption of some of the key nutrients that look after your immune system. So you may well see that these opportunities and these opportunistic viruses that are kind of dormant will go, yay, yippee. And it's the same as shingles. So you generally find that people who have an episode of shingles will have had something happen, either emotionally or physically beforehand, because your virus is here and your immune system is here, and shingles just sits there nice and quietly and can't do anything when the immune system is here. But if something's happening and there's long-term low-grade stress or nutritional deficiency, or, you know, too much exercise even, or poor diet, or too much alcohol, and then no sleep, and you've got this, so there's your virus. So yes, everything needs to be maintaining this balance of keeping the immune system on top of these. They do call them opportunistic viruses. So yes, and the key players in nutrition as far as your nutrients go are zinc, vitamin C. There have been cases of scurvy in bariatric patients who aren't supplementing well. It's not often, it's certainly not every day of the week, but it's something that is like a very old kind of times gone by illness, but it can happen. The B group are huge players in blood cell production, and that's white and red blood cells. So they maintain the well-being of your immune system. Zinc, good fats, iron, huge player in immunity as well. So B12, all of those, it's why we supplement twice a day, every day. And that's why the commitment is there in the very first part of the intake of the idea of having the surgery is, are you committed to supplementing for the rest of your life? Because with the limited amount of food on offer, there's just not the way of making sure that you're meeting your needs on an ongoing basis. So it's like an insurance policy against those kind of random things. Very good. Thank you, Denise. And have I got any more questions? No, I'm going to go into the poll. I'm loving the poll because it tells me what you guys would like to know more about. So what I'm going to do is share my screen. Come on, screen. Multiple participants can share simultaneously, one at a time. Why can't I share? Can I share? Every week technology beats me. No, can't see how to do it. One participant, multiple, only the host. Who can share? Only the host. Great, that's all I want to do is share. Anyway, there'll be no sharing tonight. And I'll read through the poll results. This is great because we put up what do you find most challenging when you're trying to fall asleep? And we put up, random things, and then the team get in there and put their own votes in, and some of them are pretty funny. One guy was writing, well, I'm reading this at 3 a.m. Does that tell you how I'm going with sleep? I thought that was pretty funny in the office today. So the first answer was, can get to sleep but can't stay that way. And all of these things around sleep tell me stuff. So I'll tell you as I go along what it may mean. 85 people said they couldn't stay asleep. A lot of 48% of bariatric patients have iron deficiency within the first year after surgery. And guess what? Once you've got that happening, you'll find that you're exhausted, and then you go to sleep, and then you can't stay that way. And it is a telltale sign of iron deficiency as well as other things, but it's one of the things that we look at and go, oh, that could be that. And it's not a diagnosis. It's not, well, that you're waking up in the middle of the night, so it must be iron. It's these signs that we then put together and go, I wonder if we should explore that. It's not a definite. So whatever I'm saying, I'm not saying it's you, definitely, but I'm saying these are the key signs of these kind of things. 66 people, the second top vote, said, I'm tired but wired. I can't sleep, but I feel exhausted. And this is another one that comes with what we call high cortisol. So stress hormones can become dysregulated, and to quell those hormones and calm down the nervous system and the adrenals is nutrients such as B group, magnesium, vitamin C, to name a few. This tired but wired is like, I feel underlying exhaustion, but I'm still going from the day, or I can't stop my thoughts, or I'm feeling anxious, or I'm just restless and I'm not relaxed, and maybe I've forgotten how to relax. So those are the things that you can look at. I mean, on the website, there's a great article on sleep hygiene, and it's practices that you do on a regular basis that help you prepare your body to go to sleep. And the routine and the rhythm of that is what you need as well. 35 people said that they're anxious, nervous energy. My mind just keeps racing. Another key indicator of like the B group and iron is anxious, overthinking, can't shut down the chatter in the head, that sort of thing. If these things are new, you might look at what's going on from a nutritional perspective. as well. 13 people said they got restless legs, and that's also linked to iron. I've also read studies that restless legs is linked to vitamin E. Magnesium, some people find helps. The minerals are good, and that's because it's calming the nervous system. Magnesium is a key player in about 300 different reactions in the body. So they estimate that about 70% of people could do with more of it, because it's just not as prevalent in the soils anymore. Now we're, over farming lands, and we've got such a population and a demand on the soil that we're growing our food in. If these minerals and nutrients are not in the soil where the plants are growing, guess where they're not in the plant either, and they're not in our bodies as a result of eating them. So yeah, things have changed, and I think the amount, the requirement of keeping our population sustained is changing the way we farm, and the soils don't get rested, and they don't probably get nourished and put, everything doesn't get put back in after every crop. So if they keep pulling crops out of the same old soil with not enough care, the food comes out with less of those key minerals as well. 9 people said they sleep fine with about 6 hours sleep and lots of energy for the day. That's not bad. It has been proven that people definitely need 8 hours. Maggie Thatcher thought she was exempt from that. I don't believe it for a second. They said she could survive on, I think it was 5 hours a day. Oh my God, I will be crying in the corner. The next one is 9 votes said, I'm not comfortable, I'm too hot or too cold. Feeling cold when it's not actually cold, you may link that to poor peripheral circulation, or thyroid will. The thyroid gland is the regulator of your temperature, your metabolism, and your temperature, and a whole lot of other things. Thyroid needs zinc, selenium, and iron. So if anything's not happy, if we're not in good supply, the thyroid can come under pressure. Autoimmunity, that sort of stuff can affect the thyroid as well. So looking at why you're hot, sometimes it's hot flushes for women, sometimes it's just the environment, and it's been pretty hot lately. And that's the thing, coming towards the end of summer, if you don't get that cool night's sleep, just even turn the aircon on and shut everything down just to catch up on good quality sleep. Our bodies rest the best when we are actually a little bit on the cooler side rather than rugged up in lots of blankets and too hot. It lets our bodies relax and rest better than if it's on the warmer side. 17 votes said they have trouble getting to sleep and only average about 6 hours sleep a night. Sleep dysregulates your hormones that govern how you eat. So ghrelin and leptin are affected, and they're both the hunger hormone and the stop eating hormone. So when they're out of balance, there's one that's saying, I'm pretty hungry, and the other one's saying, well, keep eating because I can't tell you that I need to stop now. So you'll find that if you are sleep deprived and you're tired, you'll start craving carbs because they're a quick hit of energy. And you'll also find that you don't have an off switch like you should have if you'd had a good night's sleep. So shift workers, people who work wacky hours, overnight working, that sort of stuff, will find that obesity is a big offshoot of that kind of shift workers and, nurses and night shift and security and all that sort of stuff. And you will find that it's doesn't matter what they do, it's the lack of sleep and the circadian rhythms and the hormones that are all linked to good sleep, melatonin, serotonin, that sort of thing will get impacted on, and it's an endocrine disaster. The last one person said they're not tired, they've got too much energy, so that's a good sign. The other one said there were 8 people who said they have a snoring bedfellow, which is why it's good to have a comfy lounge or a spare bedroom for those. And it is like, it's really, we feel like we're not, honoring our lovelies when we go and sleep somewhere else. But I think sleep is king, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So that's the poll. And I was just going to talk about sleep and how to get some. So in the news this week, last week, this week, It's all about sleep. This week, it's always a week ahead. Talking about sleep and what to do with it and what happens when you don't get enough. And there's links to different articles, and we've done like a 7-week spate on sleep in the newsletter before. If you're not subscribed to the newsletter, it's really easy to do. You just go to the website, and on the front page it has subscribe to our news, and you get a weekly newsletter that ties in with what we're talking about in the lives every week as well. So sleep, if you can't get any, it's a really good thing to look at your habits and your nutrition and get your bloods checked and just make sure everything's lined up. The things you can take there was one question in here. Someone was saying, is there anything we can take to help us sleep that's not addictive and medicated? And yes, Mother Nature has provided. So there's a heap of things you can do that are natural and easy, and they'll just help you get off to sleep a little bit better. Magnesium is the king. Even if you've got to take calcium, if you take it at bedtime, it will help your sleep. Calcium helps your muscles contract. So it also helps them to relax. So when you've got enough calcium and magnesium, they're a synergistic nutrient, like I was talking about before. They're like helpers of one another, and they regulate and buffer. They kind of alkalize the system. Of course, they look after your bones. Both of those nutrients do. But they also manage nervous systems. So when you're feeling stressed, if you're having your calcium at night with a bit of magnesium, you'll find you will sleep better. It actually helps your heart to rest a bit. So lack of calcium, can dysregulate your heart rate as well. So any kind of feelings like tachycardia, if you feel like it's anxiety, but you're kind of not worrying about anything, I would look into those mineral balances. And I think we don't give the minerals enough of a rap because they have a huge impact on our kind of our regulation of the system and what we call the buffering system. So acid alkaline balance, and they keep us more alkaline, which is always going to be good, which is also a direct opposite of inflammation. So those kind of things, looking at what you do in the looking at what you do during the day. If you're exhausted and you know you're not sleeping very well, the next thing you'll do is wake up and want coffees, and then people drink coffee all day and then wonder why they can't sleep again, or they drink alcohol at night thinking that's the way to wind down and relax and get a good sleep, but alcohol will mess up your sleep just as badly. So often you wake up hot, you'll wake up with anxiety, you'll wake up because you're not going into that deep sleep, the REM sleep that you need, which is where our rest and, well, we call it rest and digest. It's sleep is the opportunity for your autonomic nervous system, the part that takes care of your breathing and your digestion and all the things that happen in your body just magically. It takes care of that system, and when it's not being tended to, that system starts to break down, and that's where these little problems come up. Immunity is a key player. I think it said 2 nights of poor sleep will affect your immunity by about 30%. So you'll find it leaves you open to colds and flu and infection and that sort of thing. You won't recover from things very well because a sleep deprived body is an inflamed body as it is. So your immune system's going woo woo woo, and then you're inflamed as it is, and then if something happens, you've got a double load on the immunity. So it's looking at calming down the fire, basically. Things to help you sleep that aren't addictive are things like magnesium. You can take that before bed. Usually a good dose is good, a good quality magnesium. There's different forms again. So the citrates are very good. They're well tolerated. They'll help you if you're constipated and calm you down. So things like chamomile tea, proven. Things like cutting out caffeine after like 11 o'clock in the morning. If you're going to have your coffee, do it at the start of the day. And then, start to have the other more calming drinks towards the end of the afternoon. If you're finding you're not sleeping and you're snacking before bed, remove the sugar, remove the processed foods, those sorts of things. That's also a huge cause of reflux, which is also a sleep interrupter, is alcohol, sugar, all the fun stuff. Once you take those out, you'll find that the lower esophageal sphincter is able to close properly, and that's what locks the food into your tummy. So those kind of things. Make sure you're not eating too close to bedtime. So the earlier you have your evening meal, the better. And a nice long fast overnight is often a really good thing. What else? Do you meditate if you can't sleep? If you get into bed and the brain's going busy, do you use your, I mean, we don't encourage blue light. Again, that's another thing I should mention, is how much screen time we expose ourselves to, and particularly before sleep. It's been proven that if you're on your screens within half an hour of sleeping, it's disrupting your sleep as it is. So turn everything off half an hour to 40 minutes before bed, have a shower. If that doesn't wake you up, you have to, some things are a bit stimulatory for some people. If that calms you down, do it. Use maybe some lavender oil. That's always a good old favorite to go to. There's also herbs that will help you sleep, like lemon balm and passion flower. There's also valerian. You can buy that, and it's a non-addictive herbal carminative that will help you sleep. There are adaptogenic herbs like withania and there's a couple of others, gentian, those sorts of things, which are real carminatives. Passion flower, there's saffron, has been proven to be very effective for depression. So if you're that way inclined, you might go and visit a herbalist. A lot of those things are available over the counter. They're just not in a good, I feel, they're not as in a potent dose that, sometimes you're lucky that they work. But if you see a practitioner who knows what they're doing and can give you the correct dosage for you, and concentration, then you'll find these things are effective. I think a lot of the time, people are trying things off the shelf, and they're always, the ones off the shelf are at a level that will do no harm, but sometimes they're hard to get good out of as well because they're not strong enough. So that's why, as much as it, the consult and everything costs you, but at the same time, you're not wasting money on things that you're getting home and you've got this massive collection of things that you're just not using because you've tried it a few times and it didn't work. At least you can rely on a good formulation that way. So things like hops or warm drinks, tryptophan, things with tryptophan in them, so protein at bedtime is good. And just setting up a routine. So sleeping at the same time every night and waking up at the same time every day is helpful, which you can see for shift workers. They're all rolling their eyes at me right now. Try a routine and, try a ritual where you start to wind down at a certain time. You turn the TV off, you put your phone away. You maybe use your phone for meditation or hypnosis, that sort of stuff. If I can't sleep, I'll just get onto YouTube and put in sleep hypnosis, and I just listen to the first one that comes up, and generally I don't hear it anyway because I'm asleep. So there's a lot of that, and it's free, so there's no real I can't access that. It's just all over the place now. We've got so much access to so many amazing resources, and most of them are free. If you just Google whatever it is you want now, it's crazy. Put in whatever you're looking for, and it's all there for you. So I think there are apps you can use. The Calm app is very good. Smiling Mind is very good. Who else is good? There's another one that you pay for, but it's like a lifetime of meditation in there, and hypnosis and all the binaural beats things and that sort of stuff. It's called Awakened Mind. That's a really good one. You can use a free version of it, or you can pay and log your progress in that way. If you're not exercising much and you're taking stimulants, you will find that you're just not tired. You haven't, burned enough energy. The other thing that exercise does, and the research behind those 10,000 steps a day, is also the same. It regulates your sympathetic nervous system. So it manages blood pressure and hormones and liver detoxification and that sort of stuff. So it doesn't need to be 10,000 steps all at once. It doesn't need to be 10,000 running steps. It just needs to be movement. And the other thing that does is support your immunity, because your immune system, which is housed within your lymphatic system, which is just underneath the skin. So when your glands get swollen up, they're like junctions of this whole network of different lymphatic kind of vessels, but they don't, like the heart and the arteries, they don't have their own pump. So they rely on the movement of your muscles, and they rely on the movement of your blood through your body to actually help stimulate the lymphatic system and clear out the junk from byproducts and stuff like that are collected, and that supports your immunity. So that's why swimming is really good for you, because your body actually gets massaged by the water. It's actually why you get a bit snotty when you're swimming, is because that's that squeeze on the lymphatic system. It's part of a clearance as well. So there's lots of good things come from movement. Even those little single jumper, the trampoline, the small circular ones you used to be able to buy at Kmart, that's so good for your strength and your fitness, but also the jumping like that is shaking up your lymphatic system as well. So there's so many different things that are good about exercise and movement, and part of it is that it's also relaxing. So you'll feel like you dust off the day and you get to relax, come home, have a nice dinner, start to calm down. Don't start thinking about, work or things you can't change at that time of night. Just have to stop thinking about them or write them down. Sometimes if you're in bed and you're totally thinking about how am I going to get through all of this, or what's happening with that, often just write down 4 words and really commit to thinking about that tomorrow. So a lot of it also comes down to mind control. Like, am I going to think about that now, or is it not helping me? Am I awake at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm worrying about, the next day? It's not going to change it. It actually makes it worse. So counting down the hours, I know I've done it before, counting down the hours to, the next day and thinking about it is highly unproductive. And that just means that next day is even harder than it would have been. So sleep is king, in my opinion. And I kind of find that whatever's happening, I'll put aside different things that are, relatively important or pressing things to go and sleep. So when I was studying, if I was tired and it was 10:30 at night, I'd just go to bed. I think it's just pointless sitting there and pushing yourself through when you're that exhausted. You're not learning anything. So it's also, are you productive? Is this pushing through fatigue a smart idea? Is it actually getting things done, or is it busyness? And we need to decipher the difference between being, busy and things, and validating, I think, sometimes through being so busy. It's a very much a way of life now. People greet you on the street and go, "Hi, how you going? You been busy?" And imagine if you go, "Nah, but I've been doing anything." Would we feel okay? Sometimes it's nice to go, "Yeah, no, I'm just having a, calm day today. I'm relaxing, or I'm just going to take it easy." Like, it has to be okayed. And busy isn't always productive. Busy can be noisy and unproductive. So you have to look at the links between that. Ooh, we've got serious storms here tonight. And we had them last night too, which is good. So I reckon we've explored sleep. We've talked about the key nutrients involved in sleep. We've talked about establishing a routine and a good sleep hygiene. One thing I want to talk about is your mattress and where you sleep. Like, are you comfortable? Are your sheets nice? Is your room tidy? Do you feel organized? Is it, crowded and there's clothes hanging up everywhere, or is it a little sanctuary where you go? Have you associated it with sitting on computers and eating after dinner? Have you associated it with watching TV? If there's a TV in the room, I'd recommend putting a sheet over it. Even at night, just cover it, because it actually does impact your sleep, even if it's off. The other thing is, what else? You can go into what's plugged in your bedroom, that sort of stuff. Some people are quite sensitive to electromagnetic field, and that might disturb their sleep. I encourage people to sleep with their phones out of the bedroom. Don't have a phone charging on the bedside table. Just remove all those distractions, because they have also, I read a thing about how they checked in on kids who, even though they weren't on their phones, if it was in their bedroom, they slept less well. So it's that, something might happen, I should keep one eye open. Whereas if they don't have access to it, it's just can't enter your mind. It's not a distraction. So I dare you to do that and see if you can do a no technology space with, burn the essential oils, or put some incense on, or make it a nice place to go, and it's nice and fresh and clean, and air it out during the day, and make sure it's got a good energy around it that's calming and will help you relax. And practice meditation. I think you'd probably find if you did that for a 3 or 4 week period consistently, you'd be blown away by what comes up in your life as a result of experiencing that kind of focused attention and stress management. Rambling, I'm going to finish up. And what do we got? 7:48. Yes. So I hope that was helpful. And I hope you are all still on board the no alcohol challenge. And I hope you've got your new calendar and your new book. I had a copy of it here. The challenge calendar that sits on the desk, and the new book, 5 Things to Do and to Think and to Stop for long-term success. They're on the website. I don't think you should miss out on them. And prizes. My goodness, I nearly forgot your prizes. This week, Transformation Tuesday winners are winning one of the kits, a BN Staying on Track kit. A book and you get a book and a calendar and a healthy eating planner. So I don't know, if you're not organized and rocking it after that, I don't know what's happening. So the winners are, and I'd love to share my screen. The winners are Graham Campbell McClare. Looks like he had his surgery 2-3 years ago. I don't have the story here, but Graham Campbell McClare, you have won one of the BN Staying on Track kits, and all you need to do is email us at support@bnmulti.com and tell us that you won a prize, and give us your address if we don't have it on file already, and we'll send it out to you. And also Lynette Litt is our second winner, looking very healthy and trim indeed. And you've won the same prize, and you just need to email us the same thing. So the sooner you do that, the sooner you'll be back on track. Or well, you're on track. You'll continue down the same track. So that's it for this week. Don't miss the news tomorrow. Keep your questions posting in the group, and also post your recipes that you want to share so that we can make them beautiful and share them on a Saturday. I've got one this week. It's not good enough for people. We need some more, because it's really great for people to see what others are doing. And I'm always really impressed with how serious people are taking their food, which is great. They're growing it, they're changing it up, they're experiencing different things. And I think that's the key, is just play around and find what you like. All right. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next week.